families, and APS students. Welcome to At Home with APS. We are so happy you've joined us this week, and we hope you enjoy this episode.
Hi, first graders. Today for Phonemic Awareness, we are going to blend sounds together to make a word. Then we will segment a word into all of its sounds. And then finally, we will add sounds to words or parts to make a new word. So for the first part, blending, I'm going to say sounds, and then you are going to repeat those sounds and then blend them together quickly to make a word. Here's our example. G-O.
G-O. Go.
Well done. M-E.
M-E. Me.
L-O.
L-O. Low.
I.
I. High.
R-E-D.
R-E-D. Read.
Sh-op.
Sh-op. Shop.
And the last one, B-A-K.
B-A-K. Bake.
Well done. Now we are going to segment a whole word into phonemes or sounds. This can help you when you're trying to spell words in your writing. So here's our example. The word is got. Say the word.
Got.
Now let's break it up into its sounds.
G-A-T.
Wonderful. Say pad.
Pad. P-A-D.
Well done. Say mop.
Mop. M-op.
Chip.
Chip. Ch-ip.
Well.
Well. W-L.
Lake.
Lake. L-A-K.
Fine.
Fine. Fine.
Great job, first graders. Now, for our final concept, I'm going to say a word or a part. You're going to repeat that word or part, and then we're going to add a sound to the beginning to make a new word. Say rail.
Rail.
Add t to the beginning.
Trail.
That makes trail. Say lack.
Lack.
Add b.
Black.
Say lap.
Lap.
Add k.
Clap.
Say ream.
Ream.
Add d.
Dream.
Dream. Say raise.
Raise.
Add p.
Praise.
Say pace.
Pace.
Add s.
Space.
Say well.
Well.
Add s.
Swell.
Say lay.
Lay.
Add p.
Play.
Say weep.
Weep.
Add s.
Sweep.
Say lane.
Lane.
Add p.
Plane.
Say rib.
Rib.
Add k.
Crib.
Yeah, like the baby sleeps in the crib. Say rise.
Rise.
Add p.
Prize.
Great work, first graders.
Hello, I'm Julie Kaufman from Baird Elementary School, and I'm excited to be here today with you first graders to do some reading together. We're going to do some shared reading with the poem, It's Not Fair. Have you ever said that phrase before to maybe your mom or dad? Or have you ever said that phrase before at school? Because you didn't think that something was fair and equal? Well, that's what this story is about. Let's look at it now. Before we start to read It's Not Fair, let's study the picture and warm up our brains to decide what might be happening in the story. And I noticed there's a girl and a boy, maybe a brother and a sister at home having a celebration. And the girl is studying her cookies. She is 3, and a very large glass of juice, and only a sliver or a small slice of cake. And there's her brother. He also has a glass of juice, but it's not as full. And look at his piece of cake. It's very large. And he has 4 cookies. Remember, she only has 3. So now let's read the poem. It's not fair. You get more. I have 3 and you have 4. Your piece is bigger. Mine's not nice. I went once, you went twice. Wait a minute, let me think. This time I have the biggest drink. Mine is better, yours is small. You don't get more each time at all. Yesterday I won the race. You came in at 2nd place. Today you won and I was last. I was slow and you were fast. I think I'll try not to compare. It all works out. I guess that's fair. And I noticed as I was reading the poem today that right from the beginning there were some exclamation marks. So I knew that I needed to make my voice very strong. Exclamation marks let the reader know there's a strong emotion. And in the beginning of this poem, the narrator has an emotion that things are not fair, they're not equal. She's very upset. So I would read it, it's not fair, you get more. And then as I keep reading, I see periods. So my voice is going to change to a regular calm voice. I have 3 and you have 4. Your piece is bigger. Mine's not nice. I went once, you went twice. Wait a minute, let me think. Oh, and now I notice in this line that the I is slanted like some special writing. I think I need to emphasize my voice here. I see it a couple times in the poem. Watch as I do it. This time I have the biggest drink. Mine is better's, yours is small. Here it is again. You don't get more each time at all. Yesterday I won the race. You came in at 2nd place. Today you won and I was last. I was slow and you were fast. I think I'll try not to compare. It all works out. I guess that's fair. The writer used the punctuation, the exclamation marks, and the slanted words for I, don't, and I again to get the reader to change their voice and understand how the narrator of the story is feeling. She's upset in the beginning because things are not fair and equal. And as she goes through the story, she realizes it's not always equal, and that's okay. Now, you're going to start reading this poem by yourself. And you might come to some longer, bigger words that you think are too tricky to read. But I want to give you a tip. When you come to these words, you can break these words into parts, into smaller parts. Look at the first part and see if you can notice something that you already know. Let me show you what I mean. We're going to start with this word over here. It's in the poem. In the poem it says, your piece is, wait, I know a word in here, big. And I know this ending, Notice how I'm looking for the parts I know. Now I'm going to put it together. Bigger. Bigger. Let's go over into the poem and read it. Your piece is bigger. Mine's not nice. I went once. You went twice. Wait a, ooh, this word is hard. We can practice it. We can look for parts we know. Come over here. In. Oh, minute. Oh, let's go back over to the poem. Wait a minute. Let me think. This time I have the biggest drink. Mine is B. This is like bigger with the same ending. And it says better. Mine is better. Yours is small. You don't get more each time at all. Ooh, look at this word. It's really long, but I know you can read it. What parts do you see in this word that you know? Oh, do you see the part yes? And do you see the part like we read in bigger and better? And then do you see the part day? There's 3 parts we know in here. Let's put it all together. Yesterday. Yesterday, I won the race. Do you see how we can break trickier words apart? There's one more to look at today. Here, let's look at it over here. Oh, this looks like the word come without the E at the end. Let's try that. Compare. That doesn't sound right. Because in the poem it says, I think I'll try not to compare. Ooh, what about, let's try a different way. Compare. Oh, when you look at 2 things and you see which one is bigger or which one is smaller or which color they are, you compare them. Let's go back and reread. I think I'll try not to compare. It all works out. I guess that's fair. So please remember this trick. When you come to big words you don't know, look for the littler parts in the word that you do know, and then push all those parts together to come to the big word, just like we did in yesterday. Now, I want to introduce you to contractions. You've probably heard of these words before. Contractions are 2 words that are pushed together to make one word. And there's a lot of contractions in this poem. Maybe you noticed them as we were reading it. In the poem, I noticed the word right from the beginning, its. And its is a contraction. What are the 2 words that make its? It is makes the word its. And when you have a contraction, you push the 2 words together and usually take a letter or 2 out and you add an apostrophe. This is the apostrophe. So it is becomes its. Also in the poem, it said, your piece is bigger, mine's not nice. Mine's a contraction. The 2 words that make up mine's is mine is. To check if you know the 2 words that make the contraction, you can put it back into the poem to see if it sounds right. Your piece is bigger. Mine is not nice. Oh, it still makes sense. So those are the 2 words that made the contraction mine's. Let's look at the last 3 contractions from the poem. We have don't. The 2 words that make don't are do not. We also saw the word I'll in the poem. The 2 words that make I'll are I will. And then also in the poem we saw that's. The 2 words that make that's is that is. Let's go back into the poem and check right here at the end. It all works out. I guess that is fair. Oh, that does sound right and makes sense. So those are the two words that make up the contraction, that's. Remember, when you see a contraction, you have an apostrophe in it, and two words have been shortened to make one new word, just like they did with that's. Okay, first graders, let's read through the poem one more time and make sure we really know what this poem is about. Let's figure out who is the narrator, who's talking in this poem and telling the story. Right from the beginning, it says, "It's not fair. You get more. I have 3 and you have 4. And we can see from the larger picture that the girl had 3 cookies and the boy had 4 cookies. She goes on to say, "Your piece is bigger. Mine's not nice." Oh, so she says, the boy has the larger slice of cake and she has the littler slice of cake. So it's the girl who's telling this poem. She goes on to say, "Wait a minute, let me think. This time I have the biggest drink. Mine is better, yours is small." So we see that she has the large glass of juice, but the brother has a smaller glass. Oh, so now she's starting to understand that things aren't always equal. You don't get more each time at all. Yesterday, I won the race. You came in at second place. So I gave a picture of a blue ribbon to the girl and a picture of a second place ribbon to the boy. Today you won and I was last. I was slow and you were fast. I think I'll try not to compare. It all works out. I guess that's fair. Ooh, let's really talk about those last 2 lines in the poem. When she says, "I think I'll try not to compare." So she's decided that she doesn't want to always look at what her brother has and what she has and decide who has it better. Or maybe this is even her classmate at school, and she doesn't always want to compare what she has versus her friend sitting next to her at school. She goes on to say, "It all works out. I guess that's fair." I think she's realizing at the end that not everything is equal every day. But over time, things may equal out. As she said earlier in the poem, "Yesterday I won the race. You came in at second. Today you won and I was last. I was slow and you were fast." Every day is different. And sometimes you may get more cookies than your friend. But then the next day, they may have more cookies in their lunchbox than you. So boys and girls, it's really hard not to compare yourself to others. But this poem lets us know that it might all equal out in the end. And it's not so fun to compare. Just enjoy what you have while you have it and keep on living your life. Thanks so much for reading along with me today. It's not fair. It's been fun. Bye.
Hi, writers! I was thinking back on some of the nonfiction books we've read recently, like Flies, I Collect That, Earth's Water, Spring is Here. And I was thinking about how all of those books are really all about books because the author wrote about one topic and wrote a lot of information about one topic. So if we think back to Spring is Here, the author wanted us to understand the signs that spring is here, the season of spring. But more specifically, the author wanted us to know what it's like when spring has arrived in the garden, when spring has arrived in the woods, in the mountains, in the meadow, at the pond. So those were all sections in the book about spring, right? So I was thinking, you know what? My first grade writer friends have so much information about topics that are near and dear to them. I bet they could write an all-about book with sections of their own. So let's think for a moment. Is there something that's really near and dear to you, a topic that you would like to write about? And think about, do you have information that you can write in different sections in your book? Let's think for a moment. And maybe some of you can share out, what are some of the ideas you're thinking of right now? Okay, Legos. Different things you can build with Legos. Oh, interesting. Okay. Baking different things. And what were you thinking of? Oh, like baking cookies, baking brownies. Wow. Okay. What was that? Gymnastics. And with gymnastics, you might be writing about like what you need for gymnastics, some of the moves, competing if you do that. Okay. And animals. Now, what is your most favorite animal you might write about? Pandas. Excellent. An all about pandas book. Wonderful ideas. I'd like to share with you one of my ideas, and I'll share with you some of the topics or the sections I was thinking I could write about this larger topic. So there's a clue. I am going to write about bikes. And some of the sections I was thinking I could write about would be, taking care of my bike, different types of bikes, and bike safety. So those are 3 sections in the book I want to write about. And the first section I would like to write about is taking care of your bike. So that's why I sketched out this diagram with labels that shows what each of the different parts of the bike are. So I've labeled the seat, the handlebars. This is the bike frame that holds the whole bike together. We have a tire, and inside the tire there are spokes. And then this is a chain that moves when you pedal. All right. So I thought that would help my reader to understand how to take care of their bike if there were different parts shown. So one thing I do know that you have to do to take care of your bike is that you have to make sure you keep the chain clean. I love to ride my bike through mud. It's just fun, right? Anybody else feel that way? But then I also know I need to take care of the chain later and clean it and different things just to keep the chain working properly so that I'm safe on the bike. So one thing I know is the chain needs to be cleaned. Can you say that with me? The chain needs to be cleaned. All right, so that's the first tip I want to write on this page. And we know that one. Let's start with a capital, of course. Say chain with me. And I've written it here, but I'm actually going to cover it because this is a word we can solve. And when you're writing later, if you don't know the word, you could say it slow and solve it, just like we're about to do. What do you hear at the beginning of chain? Ch. Very good. C-H. I heard long A, and then somebody said it could be a vowel team, and it is. It's an A-I. What do we need at the end of chain? Very good, an N. The chain needs. Let's say that one slow. Needs. All right, you hear an N. Then a long E. Very good. How might we spell that? It is an E-E. Very good. Needs. So what would need be? Very good. A D. And then how will we turn this into needs? An S. Wonderful. The chain needs 2. B. Nice. B-E. The chain needs to be cleaned. Let's say that word slowly. Cleaned. Good. What do you hear at the beginning? A blend? A C-L. Wonderful. I heard long E again. It is not an E-E in this word. I-E-A. Wonderful. So how will we finish clean? And then we'll put the ending on it. Clean. An N. And then what 2 letters do we need on the end to make it cleaned? E-D. Excellent. So let's check. The chain needs to be cleaned. And what do we need at the end? A period. Well done, team. All right, something else I have learned about riding my bike is to always make sure that the tires have the right amount of air in them. So before I ride, I always feel the tires just to make sure they're filled up. So I'm going to tell my reader that the tires need the right amount of air. Let's say that. The tires need the right amount of air. Let's get started. We know that. We're going to start with a capital because we've started a new sentence. The tires. Say tire. Tire. T. Good. And an I. What do you hear at the end? An R. What do you think you need here to make that I long? Very good. An E. So right now we have the tire, but it's not just one tire I'm checking. It's both tires. So what do I need on the end for tires? An S. The tires need. Excellent. So we've already practiced and solved the word needs. Without the S, that word is need. And that's the word we need. Need the and write. Has anyone learned how to write the word night? It's on our high frequency word list. Excellent. If you know night, then you would know right. This is like right or wrong. I want the right amount of tire the right amount of air, in my tire. The right. So I-G-H-T is what we need from the word night to make right. The right amount. Let's say that word slowly. Amount. Great. It is an A at the beginning, actually. And then you hear an M. What might the owl sound be? Ount. O-U. Well done. Say this slowly and see if you can hear both sounds at the end. Amount. Excellent job. An N and a T. The right amount of. Good. Another high frequency word for us. The right amount of air. Great. Wow, friends, you really helped me get started with my book. Let's read what we have. The chain needs to be cleaned. The tires need the right amount of air. Thank you so much. In fact, I have more I'm going to do. I need a table of contents page. I probably need a heading about this section is all about taking care of your bike. So I have a lot to do. I hope this has inspired you and there's something that you would like to write a teaching book all about. All right, happy writing, friends.
Hi, first grade. My name is Mrs. Kovalevich, and I'm a first grade teacher at Randolph Elementary. I'm here today to read a story with you. The title of the story is Broken Arm Blues. Have you ever broken a bone? In this story, a brother and sister, Carrie and Kyle, each have a broken arm at the same time. They have to get arm casts put on to help them heal. At first, they think that's pretty exciting. But soon their feelings start to change. They start to feel bored, and they get the broken arm blues. They start to feel sad. As I read the story, think about the problem that Carrie and Kyle have and how they solve it. Broken arm blues. Broken arm blues. Kyle and Carrie did everything together. They worked on their homework together, played soccer together, and went to karate class together. You're like 2 peas in a pod, their father liked to say. One day, while playing soccer, Kyle broke his arm. A doctor at the hospital put Kyle's arm in an arm cast. 3 days later, Carrie broke her arm in karate. The same doctor put Carrie's arm in a cast too. Cool! We get to have broken arms together, Kyle said. Let's get everyone to sign our casts, said Carrie. The first week they had their casts was exciting. Kyle and Carrie didn't have to run laps in soccer practice. Their parents wrote their homework for them. Everyone signed their casts, even their teachers. The second week they had their casts, Kyle and Carrie both had the broken arm blues. So many things were hard to do with one arm in a bulky cast. Carrie couldn't put her hair in a ponytail using just one hand. Kyle couldn't play video games, and neither of them could jump rope. We can't do anything fun, yelled Carrie. I'm so bored, Kyle said. I feel so blue, Carrie agreed. Kyle and Carrie had to watch their soccer team play without them. They couldn't even clap their hands when their team scored a goal. The third week Kyle and Carrie had their casts, they were angry. One of their best friends had a birthday party with a jumping castle at the pool. They couldn't jump or swim. They had to watch everyone else having fun. I'm sick of having a broken arm, yelled Carrie. My arm is so itchy, Kyle howled. Mine too, Carrie said, and your cast is starting to smell. Your cast stinks, Kyle said, holding his nose. The fourth week, Kyle and Carrie had their casts. They decided to team up to beat their blues. Together, they could jump rope. They each used one of their hands to clap together when their team scored in soccer. You're like 2 peas in a pod, their father said. After 6 weeks, their casts were off. Now they could swim, play soccer, and go to karate class. Now no one had the broken arm blues. Think about the problem that Carrie and Kyle had in the story. You're right. Kyle and Carrie got the broken arm blues because wearing a cast was not much fun. How did they solve their problem? That's right. They teamed up and worked together. What would you do if you had to wear a cast for 6 weeks like Carrie and Kyle did? Share what you would do with a family member. I hope you enjoyed the book today. I'll see you next time.
Hello, my name is Pamela Clark, and I'm the resource teacher for the gifted at Campbell Elementary School in Arlington. Today, I'm going to share a critical and creative thinking strategy that we're going to try out with the book Broken Arm Blues. I hope you enjoyed that book. I know I did. The two strategies that we're going to use are big ideas and de Bono's hats. And I'm going to be asking you to do a little bit of thinking along with me. So if you could run and get a pencil and a piece of paper, and maybe if you have it, also a black, yellow, purple, red, and green crayon or marker. Black, yellow, red, purple, and green. Those 5 colors. I'm going to retell the story while you're looking for those things. And I hope that you'll remember it because it was just read to you. So the book is called Broken Arm Blues. And as you'll remember, the 2 kids, Carrie and Kyle, were pretty excited at first when they broke their arms, strangely enough, because both of them had broken their arms within 3 days of each other. What are the chances? One at karate and one at soccer. So that was a good thing. And then they realized that, well, they could get a lot of their friends and teachers to sign their cast, and they got out of doing some homework. So that was pretty good. And then they realized, wait a second. It's not all that much fun because you have to miss out on some things too. There was a birthday party that they didn't get to have as much fun with, and soccer practice they couldn't run. So they weren't really having a great time then. And the cast was itchy and it smelled bad. And then they realized, guess what? They realized that if they got together and they really used their noggin, they could find some ways to adapt so that they could actually have fun again. So they did some things together, like jumping rope and clapping, using both of the hands that were good and freed up from a cast. So let's think about what's the big idea from that book. Remember that the big idea is when you think about like the lesson that you can learn from that story. Well, they were pretty happy at first. Then, not so happy. They had the blues. They were angry. They were upset. And then they started thinking, and they came up with some ideas. So the big idea is there are lots of ways to think about a situation. In fact, that goes along perfectly with the critical and creative thinking strategy we're going to use today, which is called de Bono's hats. Now, Edward de Bono was a man who thought of an idea that our thinking is kind of like wearing lots of different hats. There's the white hat, which we call the facts hat. When we think about the facts, we're thinking about all the things that we know are true. That's the white hat. We can also think about all the good things that go along with something. The things that make us happy, that go with a certain situation. That's the yellow hat. The purple hat is the problem hat. And that's the hat you're wearing when you're thinking of all the things that could go wrong or all the things that are bad about a situation. And there's the feeling hat. The feelings hat is one that we wear a lot when we're feeling really emotional about a situation. Oh my gosh, I'm so mad about this, or I'm so sad. Why did this happen? I'm really happy and excited. Sometimes we get caught up with our feelings. We wear that hat a lot. Sometimes we need to take it off, though, so that we can try on one of our other hats. And a fun hat to wear is the green hat, because that's the new idea hat.
Sometimes when we have a situation, we can be a real problem solver if we can put on our green hat and think of some new ideas of what to do with a situation. So let's try using those hats as we think about having a broken arm. The facts are, it's hard to move your arm when you have a broken arm. You can't get the cast wet, and your bone needs to heal, and the cast helps protect it so it can. That's using our white hat, thinking about all of the facts. Then we can also put on our yellow hat. Now remember, the yellow hat is for thinking about all the good things. Carrie and Kyle both had broken arms at the same time. That was a good thing because the friends could just have fun having broken arms at the same time. Also, they didn't have to run at soccer practice, and running is not one of their favorite things, so they thought that was really good. Having a broken arm had its benefits. And their parents wrote their homework for them, wrote their answers, so they didn't have to write anything because they couldn't with their broken arm. And at school, everyone signed their casts, their teachers, their friends. They might have signed them in different markers. Pretty fun. There were problems, though, having a broken arm. And one of the problems was it's hard to do things when you have a bulky cast on your arm. Carrie couldn't put her hair in a ponytail. Kyle couldn't play video games, and neither of them could jump rope. These were some problems. There were other problems too, lots of problems. The soccer team had to play soccer without them. They couldn't even clap their hands when the team scored a goal. At the birthday party, they couldn't climb the castle. And the casts made their arms itchy, and the casts smelled bad. They were really stinky. When they wore their red hat, they had certain feelings about the situation too. They were bored, not being able to do a lot of things they normally did. And they had the blues, broken arm blues. That means they were pretty sad about the whole situation. They also got kind of angry because they couldn't jump or swim or do the regular movements they would want to do. Next, they put on their green hat. And remember, the green hat is for new ideas. So they started thinking, what can we do to make the situation a lot better? So they used one of each of their hands to clap at the soccer game. That's a pretty funny vision in my head, thinking of them clapping with different hands. And they also jumped rope together. So I put in the picture from the book that shows them jumping rope together. Look how they solved that problem together. And they were able to do it because they were two peas in a pod. And that just means they often had a lot of the same thoughts and ideas at the same time, and they got along really well. So those are ways we can use the hat with the book Broken Arm Blues. Now, I chose this book, though, because I have a personal connection. It is a fact that just before I went into kindergarten, I had a broken arm. I broke my arm the beginning of the summer, and that was a fact too. It was summertime. Now, thankfully, one good thing, like my yellow hat on, it was my left arm, so I could still draw because I'm right-handed. But a problem, when I put my purple hat on, my problem was I couldn't swim, and I loved swimming. Every summer, I spent my summer at the pool. Feelings were I was hot and I was disappointed because it's the beginning of the summer and I can't go in the pool. In fact, it's looking like I'm not going to be able to go in the pool all summer. So a new idea, my green hat, my mom was wearing the green hat, and she wrapped a trash bag around my arm and secured it with a rubber band so that I could go in the pool. So at least then I wouldn't be so hot. I couldn't really swim or splash around much, but at least I could cool off in the pool. And that's a picture of me with my cast just before kindergarten, in that summer before kindergarten. Now we're going to try one together. So I want you to use your materials to think about what if the pool were closed? This summer, if the pool were closed, what are some facts, good things, problems, feelings, new ideas if the pool were closed? If you don't have a colored crayon or marker, you can just use a pencil and write FA. For facts. Well, and one fact is You couldn't go swimming with friends and lots of people if the pool was closed. Wonder what fact you're going to write down. Now let's think about the good things. The good things about not going to the pool if pools were closed. I can think of one good thing. I don't need to buy a new bathing suit. That's a good thing because I hate shopping and I hate trying on bathing suits. So that's a good thing. I don't need a new bathing suit to go to the pool. What's your good thing? What would be a good thing in your mind if the pool were closed? How about a problem? What would be a problem if the pool was closed? Well, a problem for me would be can't go cool off when it's really, really hot. Some summers it gets so hot. I mean, the air conditioning is great, but sometimes that doesn't even help. And I like being outside. So if I'm outside, I want to be at the pool. I couldn't go cool off, so that would be a problem. What are some feelings you would have if the pool were closed for summer? I would feel hot and mad. Mad that they weren't going to open up the pool for me. Wonder how you would feel. And next, we're going to think about new ideas. What are some new ideas you might have if the pools were closed for summer? Well, I could use my hose to cool off and play in. So that's just a new idea. I'd still be able to cool myself off. I wouldn't be able to be with a lot of other people. And I could wear my old bathing suit, but I could use a hose to cool myself down. So that's a new idea. I wonder what your new idea would be if the pool was closed for summer. Now I want you to try to think about some things at home because I'd love you to use these De Bono's hats at home. They're really good for thinking about things in different ways. Because sometimes when we get upset about something, we tend to put on that feeling hat, the red hat, and we keep it on. I feel this, I feel that. Or think about all the problems, get in a negative zone. But we can go back and use our yellow hat and think about good things. Or we can use our green hat and think of new ideas. So that's a lot of fun too. Think about the facts. The facts are really important. A lot of things that are happening today, the facts are, they're happening because we're trying to stay safe. And that's a fact because we are safer when we're not interacting with so many people and sharing the germs that might give us the virus. So I want you to try using the hats at home with situations that would happen there. For instance, what if someone spilled juice on the carpet? Use your hats to think about that. What if the grocery store ran out of bread? What if you can't get to sleep at night? What if the neighbor's dog keeps barking? What if your TV stops working? So think about one of those situations or other situations that come up at home and think about wearing those different hats to think about them. If you prefer to use your imagination, you can try these ideas to use your hats with. What if it rained candy one day? What if everyone were invisible? What if pets could talk? What if everyone were frozen except for you? And what if you were the president? It could be a lot of fun thinking with De Bono's hats, and we hope that you'll keep thinking this week and have a great time learning at home.
Hey everybody, my name is Megan Hygis and I am here to play a high frequency word game with you. All you'll need for the game is a piece of paper and a pencil. So if you can pause me now and go grab that. If you can't pause me, go get it real fast. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is create a board to keep track of points. A little T chart with a T for teacher and a K for kids. Whenever you get a question right, you give yourself a point. If it's not right, you give me a point. And we'll see who wins in the end. Honor system here. I can't see your point totals. Okay, So the first thing I'd like you to do is figure out which one of these words says because. Ready? You'll have 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Which one is because? Is it number 1 or 2? If you said 1, you are correct. You can tell because it starts with B. Because. This one can't be because. It doesn't even start with B. All right. Nice job, readers. This is the word again. Okay. Here's another one. Which word says could? You ready? Could. 3, 2, 1. If you said number 1, could, you are correct. This word doesn't start with k. That can't even be could. This word is every. All right, nice job. If you got it right, give yourself a point. If not, give me a point. All right, getting a little trickier here. Which word says don't? Ready? 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Which one says don't? Let's see. D. Uh-oh. They both start with D. So we've got to look across. You ready? Don't. I see it, but I don't hear it when I say don't. I don't think this is it. Let me check this word. Don't. That one is don't. If you picked number 2, give yourself a point. If not, give me a point. Nice job looking all the way across the word. All right. Getting even trickier here. Are you ready for this? 3 choices. Move this over a little bit. Whoops. Got it. Okay. Ready? Which word says down? Which one is down? Look all the way across. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Time's up. Down. Let's check them. D. Ooh, this starts with D. Oh, this is B. Did that trick you? Did that trick you? Did you think it was a D? That's not a D. D. So these 2 both start with D. Now, let's look all the way across. I'm looking for down. Down. Can't be it. I hear it at the end of down, but I don't see one in this word. Let's check. Down. Yep. I looked all the way across. Choice number 3 is down. If you're right, give yourself a point. If not, give me a point. Okay. This one is day and this one is back, by the way. All right. Last one. Are you ready? This is where it gets super tricky. Which one is the word where? Look carefully. 3, 2, 1. Boop. Time's up. Let's check. Where? Oh gosh, they all start with W. I've got to look all the way across. Where? That kind of looks right. Where? Oh, that one looks right too. Where? Oh no, that one can't be right. Okay, so I know it's not this one. Now, the word where has a digraph in it. Does that help? Where? 2 letters that make one sound. Here it is. This is the digraph. WH just makes one sound. Where? All right. If you chose correctly, give yourself another point. If not, that's okay. All of these words are on the first grade list in your June calendar. You'll find them, so you can study them. Let's study where real quick. I'll give you a chance to get another point. All right, we already said we noticed it has a digraph, right? Where? Yeah. Let's see, how many letters does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters. All right. What else do we notice about it? Where? Oh, it's got 2 E's. Yeah, nice job. All right, now I want you to take a really good look at it because I'm going to write it on my board. And I am going to take away one of the letters. Here's where. Ready? I'm going to take one of the letters away. What's missing? Oh, did you say one of the E's because we noticed it has two E's? Ha! You're right. The E was missing. If you were right, give yourself another point. Okay, let's do one more. Oh, I'm getting trickier. Now what's missing? Did you remember the digraph? The two letters that make one sound? Very nice. And read it? Where? All right, writers, if you got that one right, if you knew the WH was missing, give yourself another point. Now, these are games that you can play at home, too, okay? You can watch this video again and try to beat me if you didn't the first time, or you can pick words from the June calendar and play these games with someone at home. One of you can be the teacher, one of you can be the kid, right? You could even be the teacher. Quiz somebody at home. All right, readers, happy reading.
Hi, first graders. My name is Miss Worley. I teach first grade at Arlington Science Focus School. I'm so excited to be here with you today to read a nonfiction book called My Heart. I love reading nonfiction. It's so much fun to learn new and interesting facts. And this story is called My Heart, and it's all about the heart in your body. You know, when I think of that, I think of all the hearts I've seen around Arlington lately. Have you seen them too? I've seen hearts in the windows of houses and stores, lots and lots of hearts that look like this. And it gets me thinking, I wonder if the heart in our body looks like this too. What do you think? You know, good readers, before they read nonfiction books, they ask themselves, what do I already know about this topic? What do you know about your heart? Maybe you could tell someone at home. I know our heart is really important. It keeps us healthy. I also know that if you put your hand here after you've been jumping up and down or running, you can feel your heartbeat. Well, good readers also ask questions. What do you want to know about this topic? What do you want to know about your heart? I told you before, I want to know, what does our heart look like? Does it look like all these hearts I've seen around Arlington, or does it look different? I also want to know, how does it work to keep us healthy? Let's read this book and see if we can find the answers to our questions and see what other interesting facts we might be able to learn. My Heart, written by Rachel Rice, illustrated by Meryl Rainey. Focus question. Why is your heart an important part of your body? Let's be thinking about that question as we listen to the book. Words to know: blood, chambers, heart, nutrients, oxygen, valves. My doctor checks to see if my heart sounds healthy. She listens to my heart, and I stay quiet and still. She hears the healthy sound, lub-dub, lub-dub. My heart needs to be healthy to move blood around my body. My heart needs to work hard for me, even when I sleep. When you look at the picture on this page, you can see the label that says heart, and it's pointing to the heart in the body. Blood is how my body moves many things it needs, such as oxygen and nutrients. It is also how my body moves around some of its waste. My heart doesn't make blood, but it does keep my blood moving. My heart is made mostly of muscle. Each time my heart muscle squeezes, it moves blood. My heart has 4 chambers. 2 chambers are for blood coming in, and 2 are for blood going out. Blood goes into one chamber from my body. Blood goes out of a second chamber to my lungs. Blood goes into a third chamber from my lungs. Blood goes out of a fourth chamber to my body. If you look at this picture, you can see the numbers showing the 4 chambers of the body. So it comes in at number 1, then moves to number 2, then it goes out of the heart to go to the lungs. The blood comes back to the heart in chamber 3, goes down to chamber 4, and then it leaves the heart again to go to the body. Between the chambers are valves that act as gates. The valves open and close to keep the blood moving one way. See the labels? One says open valves, the other says closed valves. My blood moves around my body in long tubes. Arteries are thick tubes that move blood away from my heart. My arteries are really strong. Veins are thin tubes that move blood to my heart. My veins are floppy compared to my arteries. Capillaries are tubes that join veins and arteries together. My capillaries are the smallest tubes that move blood around my body. So in this picture, the blue lines are showing the veins that are bringing blood to the heart. The red lines are showing the arteries that bring blood from the heart. And the capillaries are the small ones in the middle that join them together. My heart and blood help my body move some things it needs and some wastes. A healthy heart helps to keep my body healthy. Glossary. Blood, the red liquid that is moved by the heart through the body in blood vessels. Chambers, rooms, or other enclosed spaces, either natural or artificial. Heart, the organ that pumps blood to all parts of the body. Nutrients, substances that living things need to live, stay healthy, and grow. Oxygen, a gas that has no color, taste, or smell, and that most animals need to live. Valves, parts of the body, such as in the heart or stomach, that can stop fluid from flowing or force it to flow in only one direction. Connections. Write a letter to a friend to explain how your heart works. Include facts from the book. Or try drawing a diagram of your heart and label the 4 important parts of your heart. I hope you liked that story, first graders. What was the most interesting fact you learned while reading that book? I bet you learned a lot of new things. Some of the things I learned, that the heart is a muscle and that it keeps us healthy by moving the blood through our body. I also got the answer to one of those things I was wondering before we started reading. Remember, I was wondering if this is what our heart in our body looked like? Well, I found out that it is not what it looks like, as I thought it might. This is really what our heart looks like. Boy, are those different, aren't they? And think about the steps that we learned in this story. We learned that blood comes into our heart into a chamber, which is kind of like a room in the heart. Then it goes into chamber 2. Then it leaves our heart to go to our lungs, which help us breathe. Then that blood comes back to the heart into chamber 3. Then it goes into chamber 4. And last, it goes out of our heart again to go to our body. That is so neat. You know, when you go to the doctor's office, have you ever noticed that they use a special tool called a stethoscope? If you know someone that has one, you can try to listen to your own heartbeat. That is pretty neat. Have a great day.
Hi there, Arlington Public School learners. Miss Franz back with a fun critical and creative thinking lesson. Again, my name is Miss Franz, and I am the resource teacher for the gifted over at Arlington Traditional School. For today's lesson, we are going to be working with the story My Heart by Rachel Rice that was in the first grade learning packet this week. If you happen to have this story, now would be a great time to go get it, as well as any paper, coloring materials, and a pencil for today's lesson. Let's begin. For today, we're going to review our nonfiction story, My Heart, and that's going to help us with our critical and creative thinking strategy for today, which is called mind mapping. It's a tool to help the brain capture the thinking that goes on inside your head and helps us organize the information from the story. And finally, I'm going to leave you with some fun family engagement opportunities that you can continue using mind mapping at home. Here we go. Think back to the story My Heart. There was a lot of new vocabulary in this story. Do you know where you go in this story to help you figure out the definition and meanings of words? That's right, the glossary. Turn back to the glossary and let's take a look at some of those tricky words. Let's see if you remember the definition or the meaning of some of these words. Blood, nutrients, oxygen. You can read these words with Miss Franz if you'd like as well. Muscle, chambers, lungs, valves, arteries, capillaries, and healthy. Remember, we looked back at the glossary to help us know what the meaning of these words are. Which one was new for you? Go ahead, share it out loud or with somebody nearby. Maybe there's more than just one that were tricky. Boys and girls, these vocabulary words are going to help us with our mind mapping today. Now, before we begin our mind map, let's think about what is the big idea in our story. That's right, it did talk a lot about the parts of our heart and how we keep our heart healthy. All of those things lead us into making connections. We're going to make connections today with our story. I want you to think back. When I say make connections, I'm asking you to think about the different associations that you may have with the theme of our story. How can you connect certain, perhaps vocabulary words or ideas from the story, The Heart? Think back about all the things you learned about. We're going to use those connections to make a mind map. This is what Miss Franz came up with. When I think of all those different connections and things from our story, I thought about the muscle of the heart. I didn't even know the heart was a muscle, did you? It did talk a lot about movement, didn't it? The heart helps the blood move throughout the body. Blood. We know that the heart doesn't create blood, but rather helps move the blood throughout the body. It talked about the different parts, the chambers, the valves, the tubes, as well as when the doctor checks our pulse and we hear the beat when we have a healthy heart. Boys and girls, all of these are associations that we created from our story. When associations are created, connections are made. When we make connections, we have a greater chance to have that information remain and stick in our brain so that we can remember it. Let's make some connections by using a map. But not this type of map. We're going to be making a mind map. Take a look at this example of a mind map. What do you see and notice? Yes, I also notice a lot of illustrations. I see color and lines and words connected. Mind maps is a tool for the brain that helps capture the thinking that goes on inside our head. It helps us think, collect knowledge, and remember and create ideas. It makes us better thinkers. Here's another example of a mind map from a first grader back at Arlington Traditional School. We did one on pirates. Pirates was the central theme that was placed in the center. It's almost like the title or the subject. When we think of something, an image automatically takes our head. For example, in pirates, I might think of a ship. Notice some of the illustrations that this first grader did. I see the ship right up in that right-hand corner. Let me show you another example of a mind map. This was Miss Franz's example of a mind map to go on a picnic. What are some things you notice about it? That's right, I do have the central theme right in the middle, and I use the image of a picnic blanket. After that, you're going to see that I have some associations from the picnic, like who will go there, when to go to the picnic, where, and what I need in order to go to the picnic. Let's take a look at my central idea. My first association was the who, and then from that I had the second association. So I said my dog, my mom, my dad, myself. Notice I'm using those key words to help summarize information. Instead of sentences, ideally only 1 or 2 words are used. A single word per association gives us more freedom, creativity, and clarity. There is my mind map for picnic. One final thing to note here is the use of color is really important in a mind map. Research shows that people who use color and images in their imagination when they're learning are better in remembering than those who don't. So notice I color coordinated my different branches or associations. That's also important. So let's use what we know to think about how we can make a mind map for the heart. Now would be a good time, if you haven't already, to go grab some colors like markers or crayons or color pencils. Start thinking about some pictures you may want to put into your mind map. What are some of those key words that you're going to put into your mind map? Let's think. So I'm going to start off with my central idea in the middle of my paper, and I just wrote heart because that's what the whole central theme was about. Now you could do the same, or you could add on to yours. You could draw a picture of a heart. You could make the heart in special letters. Make it stand out because it is the central theme. Now begin to think about your first associations. For me, the easiest thing was to think about how the book really broke in and informed me about the different parts of the heart. Do you remember the different parts? That's right. They talked about valves, chambers, and tubes. These would be the second associations from parts. Now you can draw lines from it or have it nearby. But I want to dive more deep into this second association because I learned so much about valves, chambers, and tubes. Let me show you what I mean. So remember, I started with the heart and the parts, and then had valves, chambers, and tubes. This time, I color coordinated the different parts. Valves are purple, chambers are green, tubes are blue. Valves, I learned that can be opened or closed. When reading our story, I know that there's 4 chambers, 2 that let blood in and 2 that let blood out. Finally, they taught me, or the story taught me rather, that there's 3 different types of tubes: veins, capillaries, and arteries. What do you remember about veins? Go back to your story. That's right. Oops. Well, what do you remember about arteries? They're thick and they help move blood away. That's right. Veins were thin. What about capillaries? What do you remember about capillaries? They're the smallest type of tube. Great job. Now you don't have to make yours like Miss Franz's. That's the cool thing about mind maps, is that our brains visualize and picture all of our connections in different ways. So your mind map is going to be different than mine, and that's okay. How are you going to continue working on your mind map? Now would be a good time to think about those next associations. Remember, when an association are created, connections are made. These connections are essential for remembering and thinking. Think back to our associations we created earlier in our lesson. Perhaps these words can help you. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with for your mind map. Boys and girls, I'm sure you have a great start to your mind map. Remember, mind maps help us summarize information, and there's probably no way that you could finish it in this short amount of time. So I'm going to let you continue working on it after this segment. But think about, how can you create the other associations? Think about the movement. That's right, in our story it talked about how nutrients, oxygen, and blood are helped move through the heart. The heart is a muscle that helps move blood, squeezes, helps provide a beat and a pulse. Do you remember how it talked about being healthy with the doctor and in checking your heart, right? The lub, lub, lub. All of these connections can help you create your mind map. Using key words, a single word per association gives us freedom, creativity, and clarity so that we can understand your thinking. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Mind mapping is a great opportunity for you to use pictures and color. Think about what drawings you're going to add as you continue working on your heart mind map. Think about color coding your different associations so that it's easy to understand and that it's not as chaotic. Other fun family engagement ideas on opportunities for you to mind map. Last week we celebrated Memorial Day. What do you know about Memorial Day? How do you celebrate? How do we honor? You could definitely mind map a Memorial Day or any holiday. What about a trip to the zoo? How would you mind map the zoo? What about cycles? Think about a cycle that you have learned about in school. Maybe recycling or a life cycle of a frog, a butterfly, a plant. Maybe even a water cycle. Mind mapping cycles are one of my favorite things to do because there's so many possibilities of connections. And finally, what about a trip going to the pool? Perhaps you could think about things that you can bring or things that you do there. What associations would you have for that? I'm sure you can come up with lots for each of these. Mind map checklists. So when you do continue working on any of these ideas for a mind map, you want to always have a central idea, different levels of association, keywords, curved lines, and don't forget to add the colors and pictures. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you have any questions, you can feel free to email me at caitlin.franz@apsva.us. Good luck, and I look forward to seeing all the fun mind maps that you make.
Hi, I'm going to be talking today about a game called the I Spy game, which is a lesson an activity that you can do with your children, and it helps to promote their phonological awareness, which is them being able to hear and understand that words are made up of individual sounds, and their ability to be able to pull out those individual sounds from words. So, for example, this is a cat, and the beginning sound is k, the middle sound is a, and the last sound is t. And for a child to be able to hear those individual and discrete sounds and be able to identify what those sounds are within a word really helps to develop their ability to later read and pull words apart as they're decoding and to read them. So this game is called the I Spy game. So for a child who is just beginning this process, a young child, probably 2.5 or 3, you would really want to set them up for success. So you would have an object in your hand and you would say, I spy with my little eye something that begins with a and the child would say,
Frog.
and then you would say, I spy with my little eye something that begins with a
Cat.
I spy with my little eye
Snake.
something that begins with the exactly, snake. By doing this, you're setting the child up for success by holding that object in your hand and you are pulling out that beginning sound. And then they are saying it. The next step would be maybe putting 2 objects in your hand to make it more difficult. I spy with my little eye something that begins with the sound
Frog.
I spy with my little eye something that begins with a k, k. Your child would say cat. If they did not get it correct, you would then just start fresh and just don't even acknowledge that they got it incorrect and say, start with another 2 objects. Or you could even go back to that first, the one with just 1 object. I spy with my little eye something that begins with k, cat. There are many different things that you can do with this. You can also, when there are 3 objects in front of them, you can, and they really know what the names of the objects are, and they've been successful in discriminating or being able to pull out that beginning sound of one or identify the object of the sound that you have given them. You can give them all 3 objects then. So you would say, I spy with my little eye something that begins with s. I spy with my little eye something that begins with f. You can also do it with ending sounds. So you could say, I spy with my little eye something that has a sound at the end that sounds like t, t, such as cat. I spy with my little eye something that has a middle sound of ah, ah. So they would say frog. So you can make this as challenging and as advanced as you need for these children, for your children. I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hey first graders, my name is Miss Brown. I'm a first grade teacher at Hoffman Boston Elementary School. Super excited to be here today doing some math with you guys. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at these 2 shapes and think about some ways that they are the same and some more ways that they are different. So, right when you look at these, what is something that you notice is the same between the 2 of them? The first thing I noticed is they're both purple. What's another thing that you noticed? They both have 4 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They also both have 4 vertices or corners in each of them. I also noticed that they each have 4 right angles, meaning that I could make a perfect box or a perfect square in each of these corners on both of them. Now we're going to try and think of some ways that these 2 shapes are different. Can you think of any ways that they're different? Well, first I noticed that this shape seems to be a tilted version of this one. So that's one way that they're different. This is straight up and down, and this is more tilted or sideways. Something else I noticed is that this one has 2 points or vertices on the top, and this one only has 1 on the top and 2 on the side. And this shape here has no vertices on the side. Can you think of any other ways that they could be the same or be different? Today, we're going to be working on story problems, and it's an exciting activity because we're going to not only create our own story problem, but we're also going to solve it. So it's kind of like we're the author, illustrator, and reader of our very own problem. I have a problem here that has some blanks in it, and in a moment, we're going to work together to fill out those blanks. For now, let's read it. The first grade class had 22 books. Blank were blank. The rest were blank. How many were blank? As you can see, we have a big job to do to fill in all of these blanks. To help us, I have a magic bin full of ideas that we can use to decide what to put on the blanks. So let's see what we get. This says 9 Junie B. Jones books. So the first grade class had 22 books. 9 were Junie B. Jones. All right, so 9 were Junie B. Jones. We need to pick again to figure out what the rest of them were. So 9 were Junie B. Jones. The rest were Pete the Cat books. Okay, so since we know 9 were Junie B. Jones, we need to figure out how many were Pete the Cat. Okay, so 22 books. That's how many the first grade class had. Now we know from our problem that 9 were Junie B. Jones. Our job now is to figure out how many were Pete the Cat. 22 books minus 9 Junie B. Jones. How many were Pete the Cat? When we solve story problems, it's a great idea to draw a picture to help our brain really be able to see that. To represent the 22 books, I'm going to make 22 circles on my paper. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So these 22 circles are our 22 books. Now, we know that 9 of them are Junie B. Jones. So on 9 of these, I'm going to write JB to represent Junie B. And 9. So those are the 9 Junie B. Jones books. And the rest of them are Pete the Cat. So how many books were Pete the Cat? Let's count it up to find out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So 13 books were Pete the Cat. 22 minus 9 equals 13. We were able to use this picture to help us solve the story problem that we created. Great job. In the problem we just did, we created a subtraction problem. Do you think you could use the same books and same numbers to make an addition story problem? How about if the students had 9 Junie B. Jones books, 13 Pete the Cat, and they were trying to figure out how many books they have all together? You can use story problems to change them and create them to make different types of problems. Inside your house, you can gather different types of toys and create a story problem about them. If you have 15 Legos and 9 Barbies, how many toys do you have altogether? Or if you know that you have 20 toys and 7 of them are dolls, how many are the rest? Parents, you can create story problems throughout the day for your students to solve. You can use toys in your house, things you see on the walk, anything that you have around you to create a story problem. Students, you can also create story problems out of anything, and then you can tell them to your parents and try to have them solve them. Great job doing math with you all today. Thank you so much for watching. As always, wherever you are, wherever your teacher is, know that they miss you and they can't wait to see you again. Have a great day.
We hope that you have enjoyed watching APS teachers and staff bring early literacy and mathematics instruction, as well as critical and creative thinking and STEM building challenges into your home this spring. It has been such a pleasure to connect with APS families in this way, and we look forward to connecting with you again soon, later on in the summer. While we take a short break from filming new content, there are many ways that you can stay connected and continue your learning while at home. New choice boards in various content areas will be available throughout the month of July and will be available through the APS website. So until our next release of At Home with APS videos coming to you later on in the summer, we ask that you stay safe, stay healthy, and stay kind, Arlington, and we look forward to sharing more videos with you again soon. Bye!